My wife says that if you don't tip at Shake Shack, they make it more expensive per item, so we're about to find out.
30% on the low end, and then 50% tip.
My check came out to 60, and they're saying 18% is almost $30 out of 60.
Tipping culture has gotten absolutely out of control this year, and it needs to be stopped. So today, we're going to be seeing the worst of it. Let's roll the first clip. PSA, Newark Airport is automatically adding 18% tip to all self-checkout purchases.
Okay, pretend I'm a 60-year-old, mom, grandma, and I'm traveling, right? I want this orange. I'm gonna go scan it. Okay, yeah, let me go check it out. Oh, grandma doesn't notice there's an 18% tip at the self-checkout. What kind of scam is this going on, man?
I thought he just paid the tip. I thought he just paid the tip.
18%. Has tipping got out of hand that they're scamming? This is a scam.
That's how greedy these companies are getting in 2026. It's absolutely diabolical that at a self-checkout, it's automatically clicked for 18% tip. And if you didn't know any better, you might overpay for it. I actually had a similar situation happen to me at the Atlanta airport when I was on a layover. I went up to a self-kiosk, picked out what I wanted, handed it to the cashier. There happened to be a person sitting there, and she scanned it, handed it to me, gave me a napkin, and then, pointing to the register, asking for a 18, 20, or 22% tip. I clicked 0, and she went, "Oh, really?" Anyways, the comments are even more interesting. For self-checkout, why do I need to tip myself for doing the work? We need a law that these machines default to 0% tip. See, that's my biggest issue with it. You want to put it on the screen by all means, but the fact that it defaults to a higher percentage because they know some people are going to fall for it is just slimy. It really is.
My wife says that if you don't tip at Shake Shack, they make it more expensive per item, so we're about to find out.
Yo.
I know. Order 2 shakes just like before.
See, $5.99.
Okay.
We got strawberry. We got cookies and cream.
Yeah, let's see.
And we got vanilla
This is what we just ordered.
card.
Okay.
All right, viewing carts, $5.99, $5.99, $6.48.
Yes.
See that? Let's say check out. And then we say, right here, no.
Uh-oh, there has been a pricing update on one or more of the cart items. Please review these changes in your cart.
There's been a pricing update on one or more of your cart items. Please review.
Everything
just went up 50 cents.
Every item went up by 50 cents. Just making sure everybody knows, do not go there.
How is that even legal? How is that even legal? Now, here's where things get even crazier. I looked at the comments on this video, and to my surprise, the Shake Shack, the official authorized company, left a very interesting comment. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. This is not Shake Shack policy. Policy. Why would this ever be policy? To charge people more on their purchase price, a quick bait and switch, if you don't leave a tip, which is optional. And we're currently looking into it with our licensee. And they even called them out, HMS Host, that operates the Salt Lake City airport location and kiosk system. So HMS Host is adding additional fees onto their kiosk system. You're ordering yourself on a kiosk. Why would you need to tip? It really is getting out of hand. I once went to a baseball game and ordered Cracker Jacks for like $9. And the guy flipped the tablet around and I stared at him. No.
If you ask me for a tip in the drive-thru, the answer is always going to be no. Okay? Because we're in a freaking drive-thru. I'm not tipping in a drive-thru.
I think the worst part is when they kind of put you in a position where you're like uncomfortable. For example, when you order food at like a sit-down restaurant and then they take that stupid tablet and they go like this. and they're looking away, and it literally just has like 20, 25, 30% or other. And now I have to go while I'm being put on the spot and try to calculate what the proper tip is. Now, maybe some of you guys can relate. I know firsthand what it's like to have a pretty busy schedule and realize it's somehow already dinner time and I still haven't figured out what I'm going to eat. And that's why I'm excited to have HelloFresh sponsoring today's video. I've actually been using them this past week, and they have made my schedule a lot more efficient and a lot more enjoyable, and I'm actually quite surprised. Instead of the usual driving to the grocery store, waiting on tremendously long lines after work, sitting in traffic, and then coming home and figuring out what to make, I can finally have everything I need for dinner already planned out. It takes the thinking out of it. And as you guys know, I'm always looking for ways to maximize my time and be more productive, so eliminating all that extra time during the week has been a pretty big deal for me. They've also introduced their new quick and easy menu, which is perfect for those nights when you're tired and don't really feel like cooking, but also don't want to overspend on takeout. And you're not locked into exactly what comes with a recipe, so you can actually swap the protein, increase the portion, and customize meals around what you actually like. They also have recipes inspired by cuisines from all over the world, so you're not eating the same thing every single day. Honestly, I've really enjoyed having some variety without having to figure everything out for myself. And for me, it's really about getting some of my time back. So less grocery shopping and less planning means more time to actually do the things I want to do, especially on my days off. And right now, by scanning the QR code you see on the screen or clicking the link in the description below, you can actually get a free Caraway food storage set with your third box of HelloFresh, and it's available for a limited time only. Again, huge thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's episode. Anyways, I wanted to read a comment that somebody had left on my previous episode. I caught more influencers lying about their lifestyle. If you guys want to check that video out, highly recommend you do. And if you want to get featured in the next episode, definitely make sure to drop your thoughts on this tipping insanity down below. I blame some of these influencers who give tips to fast food workers using fake $100 bills. Oh, that's new to me. They have unfairly set the bar so high in the tipping culture where workers are expecting these huge tips to be normalized. I don't think that that's what's going on. I just think people are getting more and more greedy, and companies are just not paying their workers fairly. What I think is going on is they're just trying to see how far they can go with getting the customer to essentially pay for everything.
We're going to see how much a table of 6 women tipped. First one, total was $51, they left $9. Second one, total of $32, $0 tip. $65, $0 tip. $60 left $6. $21 left $7, and then $23 left $4. So I am grateful for any tip, but would prefer 20%.
Yeah, I was going to say, those didn't even sound like 15%. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually what I do is about 15%. That's always what I thought was the appropriate amount to leave for, you know, normal service. And if, you know, something was above and beyond and I really enjoyed the service, then I'd leave 18 or 20%. But the fact that it's become standardized at like 18, 20% now as the bare minimum is ridiculous. I've even seen some tipping options at 35%, which is insane.
Yeah, they've lost their minds with tipping, right? So if I'm going to Chipotle, no, sorry, I'm not tipping you for scooping the rice into my bowl while I stand in line. If I'm standing in line, I'm not tipping anyone. I'm sorry.
He's got a valid point. Like I said before, I really like fast casual restaurants. I believe you don't have to tip at those establishments unless you really want to, and the food is usually cheaper. I appreciate the foreign perspective as an American on these types of issues. One thing in particular is the tipping culture. I'm saying this as a service worker, and I would prefer a livable wage from my employer than depending on tips from people already overpaying for their meals. My manager told me that the owner nets $3 million a year at a local restaurant with no franchises, yet they are depending on others' generosity to support a majority of their workers. This is not right. It's a very interesting point, too. I don't know at what point and why in America we've decided to pay our, servers $7 an hour and fully dependent on tips. I don't fully understand that when I believe in other countries, you do get paid a salary.
So the bill is $158 and this is 20%. But when we do it on our calculations, how much are we gonna leave tip?
So I'm really excited to do this video because I've been looking for an excuse to show you why math is important in real life, but this is what happened. So the young lady went out on town, spent about $158.92 on a meal, and the suggested gratuity says it should be $44, which is 20%, but that's not actually true. So what you want to do is we're going to take $158.92, and I'm going to show you a trick. So to figure out what 20% is, let's first figure out what 10% is. So all you're going to do is...
Are we in math class now? I just pull out the calculator on your phone, and you can find out what the percentage is.
So 28 is an 8% difference. This 8% difference might be hidden fees. It might be, I don't know, some kind of tax or something like that. But the problem is they didn't disclose what these fees are, and they just included it. So it's very shady. Whatever business that was, y'all shouldn't be doing that. And according to where you are in the country, this also may be very illegal. So just depends. But this was a great video. I'm glad that she was able to show us something like this. And y'all, math is important. Telling y'all.
And this is why I absolutely hate when the server is holding the tablet and like putting you on the spot, because you can never trust the math on these machines. Like, leave it with me and come back so I can figure out whether or not you're trying to scam me or not. The craziest part is I was just on Long Island a couple of days ago, and I went to the Cheesecake Factory, and to my surprise, on the percentage tip options there, when I did my calculations, it was off from there. Turns out there's included tax. Why are we paying tip on tax? That makes no sense. Not only that, it wasn't disclosed. So it's any reason to inflate and trick you and deceive you into paying more, and more than likely, either the restaurant owner or the POS system is getting a kickback on that, not who's actually providing the service for you.
I stopped living tips. Not once, not sometimes, everywhere. It's not a prank and it's not a challenge. It's no tip movement. If you want to see where it goes, join the journey.
All right, that's pretty ballsy. Like I said, if you're intentionally going to a restaurant to not tip, that's just not me. If I wanted to not tip, I now specifically go to fast casual franchises or just fast casual restaurants. It's actually becoming fairly popular now. A lot more I'm noticing are popping up because restaurant prices have gotten way too expensive now. And then they expect you to tip on it. It's kind of ridiculous. Restaurants need to pay servers more, not rely on this. I'm too European for this. I really want to know, if you guys live in Europe or other places outside the country, what's your experience with tipping culture there, and how does it look, the way we do things here in America?
Not proud of it, but man enough to admit it, I have become so good at pressing that no tip button when you turn that screen around towards me. Why? Because you did absolutely nothing. When I walked up to the counter, you just stared at me. So then I had to be the one to start conversation with you. And you're the one getting paid to work here. That's crazy. How have our social skills gotten so bad? And it's funny to me because a lot of people are like, oh, well, AI, all this robot stuff is going to take our jobs. As they should, because at least they say, hi, how are you? And then, thanks, have a great day. You can't even do that. And you're not looking at me anyway, so I guess it's no different than having a computer do your job. Do better.
They're not looking at you because it's awkward. It's really awkward. They know what they're doing when they flip that around. They might as well click no tip themselves. What I want to know is, do they know when you decline tip? Do they see whether or not they've gotten that tip on their kiosk when they flip that back around?
Don't just punch in 15 or 18% because my check came out to 60 and they're saying 18% is almost $30 out of 60.
What?
That's a 50% tip. So they're trying to trick us. Look, if you hit 20, it makes it 33. 18, 29. That's
50%.
Not right. So it's actually $12. 18, I think 20% is actually $12. Don't get bamboozled. Don't just start clicking stuff.
That is absolutely crazy. And that's when they get nothing. 18% is actually $10. Not only is the calculation way off, but it also says tip is calculated after tax. Why would you pay tip on tax? Exactly what I'm saying. And this is why I hate being put on the spot, because sometimes they do that. They purposely flip it around and hold it right there. And you're so uncomfortable because of the social awkwardness that you just... 18%.
Tipping culture is getting out of hand now in America. I'm going to call it what I like to call an epidemic. I'm at the coffee shop recently. I ordered my coffee black, right? I was not loved as a child, so that's why I do that. But the lady takes it, puts it from the pot into the coffee cup, no problem, flips the screen around and says, hey, it's going to ask you a couple questions. And I said, oh, is it now? Because I know you know the question it's going to ask. I know the question. We all know it. You're not fooling anyone. Not everything deserves a tip.
Yes.
I went to go get new tires on my truck, and they literally had the screen turn around and had the audacity to say, would you like to tip? And I said, no, not at all. The only thing that screen should be saying is this total correct? Did we price gouge you for these tires? Yes, you did.
Did you price gouge me for these tires? Yes, you did. Because everything now is absolutely overpriced, overexpensive, and being overcharged for. The only time I've ever given a tip on tires was when I hired a service to come out to my house while I was sitting there, and the guy was able to change my tires, mount and balance them, all from my driveway. I felt like it was needed to give a tip for that. But otherwise, if I drove there and I'm sitting in your lot waiting for it, what makes that warrant a tip? When you realize that you are the only country in the world that has a problem with its tipping culture, maybe the problem is not the customer being mean.
There is no freaking way. I just went to go get froyo, where you make it yourself. Okay, I'm sitting there with my little bowl, and I put my ice cream in, and then I move over to my favorite section, the toppings, okay? And I put in some chocolate-covered strawberries, some brownies, and then I move over to the little section where you have to weigh your ice cream, and it gives you the total. And not gonna lie, y'all, that was some expensive froyo. But anything to make my stomach happy, of course. And so I take out my wallet, pull out my card, and I'm tapping it, and it's not working. So I was like, okay, maybe I can swipe it. I swipe it and it's still not going through. And I was low-key getting embarrassed because like there's people behind me. And the worker comes up to me and he's like, it's not going through because it's asking you to tip. I was like, oh. And he was like, press the bottom right corner. And I was like, the no tip? And he goes, yeah, we don't get those tips anyway. The owner keeps them. If we don't get paid enough. I was like, oh, but I'm just here for my froyo, okay? But like, I think it's crazy that these self-serve places are asking you to tip and the owners are keeping it. Like, that makes no sense at all.
That's even crazier. Now we know the answer. I had a suspicion. Why can't we bring back the OG tipping, container and just leave it on the counter?
Check it out, guys. This is how we pay here in America. You can see all the three options for tipping. 20% used to be the high end.
Right.
18% was okay service, and 15% was just, your baseline. But now
I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew 15% used to be like the standard. It used to be like double the tax. At least it was that way in New York.
25%. Which,
if you guys thought that was bad, look at this shit. 30% on the low end, mid-range 40% tip, and then 50% tip. These people are trying to charge us an extra half of the original price as tip. Now, this tipping culture is getting out of hand. Look, I'm all for tipping, except maybe when I'm going to pick up at a store. If I'm not sitting down in that store, I don't think there's any need to tip.
Sure.
Yeah, if you're sitting down at a store or you're getting food delivered to you, yeah, it's good to tip. Back in the day, 12 to 15% used to be like a really good tip. Now it's looking like you don't even have that options in some stores. Look at this. These restaurant owners are getting richer and richer while we as the customers, we have to pay the employee's salary. These corporations need to pay their employees a better salary, and they should stop guilt-tripping us into paying salaries for them. What do you guys think of this crazy rise in tipping prices or tipping percentages at the moment?
The audacity to ask for a 50% tip is insane. At that point, I would feel better if you just added that into the actual price of whatever it is you're selling, honestly. And then I can decide whether or not it's overpriced or not, whether I'm going to pay. But to already have me purchase it and then put me in this awkward position where I have to tip, and that's what I see on the screen. And then they usually hide it. It's like all the way in the corner does it say no tip. It's just getting ridiculous. No tip, I pay for my food, and the restaurant pays workers for the service. Just press no tip. In Europe, tipping is a compliment, not a must.
Man, fuck tipping culture, bro. I just went to a frozen yogurt spot. Bro, He turns the iPad around. It's 18, 20, or 25% tip. Like, bitch, I filled up my own froyo cup. What do you mean you need a tip? You ain't getting that fucking tip. You ain't to do shit, buddy.
I'm sorry. Y'all don't have to agree.
Maybe probably spent like $19 on a little cup of ice cream too.
I never gave a fuck. I am not tipping you for some shit that is really not even tippable. That never fucking before the last 3 years, would anyone ever have thought about asking for a tip for. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Service providers are one thing. Okay, tattoo artists, cosmetologists, estheticians, hairdressers, makeup artists, whatever. That's one thing. Okay, servers, delivery drivers, even like sometimes if I'm ordering takeout or I'm picking up a to-go order, expos, because I've served, I've expoed, I've hosted. I get it, sure. Drive-through, no. Fuck no. I'm sorry. Ben and Jerry's just for a fucking scoop of ice cream? No. It's not happening.
The way I see it is if I'm standing at a place, you're not getting a tip. If I'm serving myself, you're not getting a tip. If the service was terrible, you're not getting a tip. To me, tipping should come from some sort of service or entertainment, something of that nature. Sitting at a restaurant, having the food prepared to me, being served, wined and dined, warrants a tip. But when I'm walking in and the service was 5 minutes and you hand it to me and I'm out, I don't know. I don't think it's worth it. Let me know what you would tip on down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Otherwise, that's going to be it for today's episode. Definitely make sure to smash the like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you haven't seen my previous videos on what they're doing in grocery stores now, highly recommend you check it out right after this. Peace.